Our fifth and final inductee of the night, and for that we go back to the beginning. Jody Skelton was one of the founding members of UWF basketball and of the athletic department as a whole. He was the school's first basketball signee back in 1967 and brought to the program by fellow UWF Hall of Famer and head coach Marvin Beck. Skelton started at point guard. He was the team captain for his 2 years with the program, and the team posted 2 of the 3 best winning percentages in school history in those 2 seasons. He was the team's leader in assists and steals. That first-year team set marks that still stand today. The Argonauts averaged 86.9 points a game, outscored their opponents by an average of 16 a game, and they put together an 11-game winning streak, all 3 still school records. The Argos posted wins over teams like South Alabama and Nicholls State and Samford, and they did so in convincing fashion. Jody's now retired, but he worked for the city of Pensacola for 35 years in parks and recreation. For his contributions to the local sports community, Skelton was also inducted into the Pensacola Sports Hall of Fame. He's also, I believe, inducted into the PSC Hall of Fame and the PSA Hall of Fame, and I think we've run out of Halls of Fame for you, Jody, so this will be it. Anything he's ever done, he's been in the Hall of Fame. Please welcome current UWF men's basketball coach and former teammate of Jody Skelton, Bob Stinnett. Bob?
This is a great night. I'm so excited. I have waited for this moment for a long, long time because Jody and I, we have a lot of history. We go way, way back. When he was a junior in high school and I was a senior in high school, our paths crossed. Not good on my part, though. We crossed. We met in the state finals. And the first time that I was coming in contact with Jody, Jody even guarded me in the state final game. They were at Pensacola High Tigers. We were Cocoa High Tigers from Cocoa, Florida. We were big. We were good, too. I mean, we were like 29-1 until we lost that game. And we ended up 29-2 for the year, but I was the smallest guy on the team. Their biggest guy was my size. And we were 6'9", 6'7", 6'6", 6'4", and me. And they beat our butts. And extremely well coached. Every one of them could play because he is absolutely tremendously tenacious. And I didn't find this out till years later. I moved forward, I lose track of him. But when I was at Cocoa High as a senior, back in the day, we didn't have the social media we have today. Back in the day, on Saturday and Sunday, the newspaper, our local newspaper, would print all the scores of the games that came out across the state. And we didn't have as many schools then as we have now, but you could read them and you'd see them. And I would always, for some reason, I'd look at, we played Orlando, Daytona schools, we played Palm Beach schools, Orlando or Cocoa located in the center of the state. But I kept seeing, not knowing we'd ever going to play Pensacola. I saw this Pensacola, and I'd see where they played. And then I would see where they played teams out of Mobile and teams out of Mississippi. And I'd always strike me, and I'd say, how can they do that? Not knowing, being a senior in high school, I had no idea where Pensacola, Florida was. I didn't know the location, the geographics. I had no idea it was closer to Mobile than it would be to go to Panama City or something. And I had no idea in my life that I'd even end up in Pensacola. So I moved forward my life after they beat us. Jody moves on with his life. And I transfer into the University of West Florida the first year as a senior. And there was like 2 or 3 of us that came in as seniors, not on the basketball team, but in the faculty staff. And who do I get to room with? Him. And not a day goes by for the whole year, not a day, how they beat us. And I was like, oh God, I gotta live with this the whole year. And I did. There's no way I could undo it. There's no way I could change it. I just had to live with it. But I want to take this moment. I want to thank Brett Berg. I want to thank Barry Stevens, and I definitely want to thank the committee for allowing this to happen and bringing Jody in. I was fortunate enough to get into the Hall of Fame way back when they first started the Hall of Fame. And then we went through a dry spell where they stopped athletics at the university. And then Brett's dad, Mr. Berg, started athletics back and picked up this Hall of Fame thing. And it's extremely difficult for the young people today to go back and see that we were, as it was mentioned up here earlier, an upper university, just 2 years, juniors and seniors. It was designed, this university, to take upper university from junior colleges. It's hard to go back and understand it. It was the first year of athletics at the university, so we weren't in a conference. We also were an independent. We didn't belong in a conference, and since we were an independent and we had to play other schools that would play us, we couldn't qualify for tournament at the end of the year because it was like a 2-year probation or something to that effect. So it's hard to get like all conference, all region, all these things, because it was a new adventure and an endeavor to get in there to get it done. And for the committee to go back and to figure out that we didn't have 4 years to get it done. We weren't in the GSC, that you couldn't make an all-conference, but I guarantee you this, I promise you this, if we could go back and we were in the GSC, he would have been all-conference. We were 19-3. Dan alluded to the point we averaged 80-some points a game without a shot clock, without a three-point shot. We were pretty good. First game we ever played was against Valdosta. And we went over and played. They scheduled us because they wanted to play a new university they were going to beat. And they almost beat us. I think it was a one-point game. It was 73, 74, 74, 75 or something. And the only reason we won that game is he's sitting right over there. We won 19 games that year, and I bet 10 or 11 of them, he made the last play, or he made the right play, or he made the right call. He's totally tenacious. He's tenacious to live with. He's tenacious to play against, and he's tenacious to play with. If you don't bring your A game, you get your butt chewed out. And he makes everything happen. I didn't realize this until years later. He was lucky to ever even play sports. When he was 5 years old, they thought he would never walk because if he had some kind of bone deformity in his hip and his leg, and he had to walk around and with crutches for years and everything. I never knew that. The guy I played against in my senior year in high school was like on me like white on rice. I couldn't shake him. I couldn't lose him. And he never tired. I mean, I remember the time out in the third quarter, I'm over there, and Coach Jenkins, my coach, who was a drill instructor in Marines and the meanest man I've ever been around, he goes, "Why are you so tired?" I said, "You try to chase that little rugrat around." I says, "I can't catch up with him." They beat us, and they shot one shot the second half and shot something like 22 out of 24 free throws. They made 22 out of 24 in the second half. And he shot the only shot in the second half that wasn't a free throw, and he made it on me. And they won. Now, I can't tell you how deserving he is of this award. I mean, I'm so excited because since I got here, I knew he belonged. I knew it, but and I'm so proud that the committee could look back and see the difference in now. And when I say now, with everything we go by, the committee has the stringent rules to get in, and they should. But with the 2 years and being an independent and not being able to qualify for the tournament, it was a different ball game. We crossed paths as seniors, and then we all went our separate ways, and I went off to a school and then transferred into West Florida. West Florida opens up, brand new school. I move in the first day, I go to the dorm, and we were in those little Pizza Hut dorms. What we called Pizza Hut dorms, look like Pizza Hut things. And they were upstairs, downstairs dorms. And when I got there, they wouldn't let us move in because they're still laying carpet. And they said, "Come back after lunch." So I didn't know what to do. So I drove around town a little bit. And town, let me tell you, town was like another town away because West Florida was stuck out in the boondocks back in 68, 67, 68. It was at least it seemed like a long ways from town. But I drove around, killed some time, came back after lunch. I bring my stuff up, put it in my closet that we had, and I see over on the other side the closet, and I see all these clothes, and they're all matching perfectly, and they're all in great shape. And I'm looking, and I see 10 pairs of street shoes and 10 pairs of tennis shoes. I brought one pair of tennis shoes and one pair of loafers for church. And I had just a few clothes. And I said, golly, how many people are staying in this room? We only had 2 beds. So as I'm getting ready to exit out, Jody comes up. And we were upstairs, on the spiral staircase, we were upstairs. And Jody says, hey, do you need any help bringing your clothes? I said, no, I got them, I'm fine. I said, well, let me ask you a question. He goes, what? I said, how many people are staying with us? And he goes, just us, why? Well, who? I said, well, who owns all those shoes? And he goes, I do. I go, oh. He goes, why? And I go, I've never seen that many shoes before. I didn't know anybody owned that many shoes except maybe girls. And, and he goes, well, where are your clothes? And I said, well, that's them. And he goes, well, you got any more? And I go, no, that's all I brought. He goes, well, what are you going to do with that other half? And I go, I'm not going to do anything with it. He says, can I have it? And I go, yeah, you can have it. And he brought some more clothes in. And I mean, every day he wore a different outfit. It was color coordinated and did it. I mean, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is for me to stand up here and to be able to introduce a Hall of Famer, Jody Skelton.
Thank you, Bob. Whatever time I had, you ate it up. I'll tell you that. My family finally got to eat their dinner after seeing the picture in the program. Coach Jeffcoat, after 41 years, this is what my wife sent a picture in. And I am Jody Skelton, no matter that. And son, I was going to really be serious tonight, and I brought some script. I'm going to have a script. But I tell you what, Robert, I'm glad you stayed on the court all the time. You know, those voices in my head have finally gone away. The 2 that were always telling me, you and Tommy Lee, pass me the ball, I'm open. Pass me the ball, I'm open. It finally went away after 47 years. And it's amazing. You live with someone and he's got his agenda and I've got mine, but he loved basketball. He stayed in the gym. I was a student. I had student activities. And you only go through college one time, Dr. Benz. And I enjoyed the social side of college life, but when we'd go out with Bob, he would turn in early. He wouldn't go to Jerry's with us. He wouldn't go to the Spanish Tavern inns and different places. But it was an experience, and I do have some fond memories. And I do appreciate everything you did say. Not all the things, but everything that was important. But I would like to make some comments tonight because 47 years I've been a proud Argonaut, and tonight is my proudest moment. First of all, I'd like to congratulate. I want to congratulate the other inductees for their outstanding accomplishments and wish them continued success in their careers. Charlie, I finally got to meet you. I've been a real fan of your baseball program, and you're an outstanding credit to this university. UWF held its first Hall of Fame banquet in 1970 at the same Scenic Hills Country Club. Back then, it was a joint banquet between the sports and the Hall of Fame. There was only 4 sports offered back then, and that was men's basketball, men's tennis, sailing, and men's golf. And that first year, and Dan was not the MC that year, believe me. Dan. Every banquet we attend, and he, believe me, he's the best ambassador for this university. He does a wonderful job representing WAR, but he really enjoys doing this, and I applaud you, Dan. But in 1970, Bob had moved on. He had been to enough colleges in 4 years to finally get a degree. He transferred in here, but that first year the inductees were teammate, roommate Bob Stinnett, and the late Doug Linville. For those who know, Doug was probably the best all-around player that ever played here, Indiana boy. But myself, along with Tommy Lee, Scott Ward, we all attended that night. And like Dr. Ben says, when you're 18, you don't really think 47 years what's going to happen. You enjoy, you get patted on the back if you've done a good job, and you move on down the road. But I do believe the highest honor a player or coach can receive is being inducted in his school's Hall of Fame. I really do. And it's very special tonight to join Bob, Doug, and Coach Marvin Beck, who is here tonight, as members of UWF's Hall of Fame. And to share this night with my family, friends, and former teammates. I would like to thank and recognize some very important individuals in my life. My mother, Maxine, who will be 90 at her next birthday. Yes. She's always been my #1 fan. She's never missed a home game, high school, college, and only a few away games. My father and my mother traveled wherever we was playing, Texas, Tennessee, South Florida, and they always found time to travel. Lori, my wife of 41 years, my loving wife, who I met at a PJC basketball game. I was coaching. She was a student. She was an older student, though, and we've that's where it all began. My daughter Dion, who's the mother of my 2 super grand boys, and I love them both, 2 and 5. My son Charlie, City of Pensacola's best firefighter. And he's engaged to be married to the lovely lady next to him, Allie Birch. They'll be married soon, hopefully. Back in 2010, when Coach Beck got inducted in the Hall of Fame, Dr. Benz and Dave Scott put together a little recognition of that first team. And we have 2 of them here tonight. Scott Ward, he was a high school all-star player from Ohio, and he was my senior year roommate. Wonderful experiences, young man. Seriously, though, he was one of 4 players from the state champion Brevard team that signed with Coach Beck that year. The #1 team in the state, they were 28-0. Coach Beck signed 4 of them. Scott was one of them. Tommy Lee, he's my closest friend since age 10. He was an all-state player at Pensacola High, signed with Georgia Tech, then transferred back to Pensacola to play for UWF for the final 2 years. Tommy is still listed among leaders in shooting and free throw percentage, and without a doubt, if he'd have transferred back a year sooner, our first year, we wouldn't have lost a game that year. And we'd have had 2 basketballs, but seriously. And then, of course, Coach Marvin Beck. Enough has been said about Marvin, especially back in 2010. I'm glad he was able to come tonight. He provided the opportunity to an undersized, left-handed point guard to play both high school and college basketball. We all knew Marvin could coach, but recruiting was a new challenge, especially at a first-year university without a campus gymnasium, unfurnished dormitories, and no conference affiliation. But his sales pitch for recruiting was, seize this unique opportunity. Become a part of something special. Work hard, win games, and graduate. That first year, we had transfers like Bob. We had another transfer from Michigan State that was an ex-military young man. We signed 4 players off of that #1 junior college. Coach Beck signed, not I. Off the #1 junior college, Brevard in Florida. All of them came here. 2 best players in Georgia. Before you know it, we had 12 players that were all on the same page and had a great year. And would have had a better year if Bob knew how to play defense. We were destined to lose a couple games just because of the defense on 4 out of 5 players, you know. And I won't get into any of the losses. You know what I'm talking about. But there again, pass me the ball, I'm open. Pass me the ball, I'm open. I remember in 2010, Coach Beck came up and got quite emotional. But he did make a point, and he expressed his pride in the fact that all 12 members of the first 2 teams graduated, and we went undefeated in those 2 years. So with that, in closing, I do have some special thanks to the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this momentous honor. To Athletic Dave Scott for his leadership and ability to manage the best staff of coaches in the Gulf States Conference. And finally, President Judy Benz for her commitment and strong support for the athletic programs at this university. If you can only imagine if she'd have been in place from '67 to now. She has made a difference, especially for us charter class members. And this group of 3 tables back here, I'd say probably 75 to 80% of them are graduates in the charter class. And with that, good night and thank you.